Welcome to the draft, folks. I am Greg Mathern in for your regular host, Ryan Stevens, who has some family duties to attend to for the evening. So I'm going to step in for him. I'm joined by always by our good friends, Phil and Tino. So, gentlemen, I'm going to start off just talking about really quickly how awesome New Hampshire was for me. We had a great weekend over at Win the Race. I hit on Ford to win. I hit on our boy Barry to finish top 10 at almost 2-1. And overall, I enjoyed the race too. It was tough to pass unless your name was Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, or Josh Berry, but the three of them could pass. Those cars were just infinitely better than the rest of the field. And so, I enjoyed the race and I made a whole lot of money, which is always a good time for me. So, Phil, I'll start with you. You had a good weekend, I hope.
I mean, not as good as you, Greg, but yeah, just up just a little bit over a unit on the weekend. Kept it pretty light. Uh, just my podcast picks only. Didn't add anything on the weekend because I was traveling at a golf outing, and it worked out for me. Ford was my manufacturer pick at plus 260 early in the week, and that worked out. Obviously, those guys were able to get it done. I mean, Ford was just the right pick all around. Like I felt so good about that just watching those guys do what they did. So yeah, happy about that. And yeah, just a little bit over a unit, but disappointed. A couple of my guys on the draft let me down, but I'm sure we'll get to those guys in a second. But yeah, good smooth race at New Hampshire for me, and happy to hear that others like yourself did so well also.
Well, and we'll lead with that. We'll show Tino's win of the draft here in a second. But Tino, you won elsewhere, I know.
Oh yeah, got a good Ryan Blaney this weekend, and it was awesome because, for those of you following along, we were on a good solidified hot streak at this point, 5 in a row. Some favorites, obviously, as Blaney was after practicing qualifying. But when I call these guys out, like I'm talking the week before the race, it makes me feel pretty good. And I'm, excited about that. I had my sister's wedding this past weekend as well. So shout out to her and her husband now. She's now got a new last name, everything like that. So really happy for them. So really happy to cash on Orion Blaney as well. I saw some people ask me on social media where my reaction video was at. So apologies for the delay. It is up now. I just put it out right, just promote, win the race and the draft and everything we got going on. And our wins, of course. Now, win the race, someone from there is Ryan. He's telling Greg to take him down as I took Ryan and Phil down last week, as you can see. And I was honestly wondering, as you can see here on the board, where I went right, and I texted the guys too right away after I won or a little bit after. I was like, I didn't really expect to win this weekend's draft. I knew I didn't have Josh Berry. None of the other guys did, but I remember I pivoted to a Chastain, was wondering how that would play out. And it seems to me that the wild card round, at least with Ryan having Denny and me having Chase Briscoe in the big three, was probably the difference, right? Did Briscoe finish better than Denny? Maybe not. I don't even know. If you guys could figure it out, I'm looking now to try to see. Maybe it was I don't know. What could I have had that was like overpowering 10 points above Ryan? Do you guys see anything different besides the Briscoe Denny play?
Yeah, I think that's probably where it had to be. Um, I mean, the reality of it is
Had
Briscoe just
Priest.
Oh,
continues
the
to seem to
priest.
have a
Yeah,
rabbit
yeah, the
foot up it.
priest. But yeah, no, I mean it's good. And then if we're shouting out the chat as well with Ryan, he's mentioning, rooting for Greg here tonight. It was smooth and an awesome weekend for us that they got the Blaney win, but for not a smooth weekend, it was our guy T54. He doesn't even want to talk about
Nothing
it.
happened last week.
Yeah, which is
Yeah,
fair.
a lot of opinions about that one out there. And not too many on Team 54's side. I've got to say. But I get his side of it. If we're being completely honest before we finish up and kick over to this coming weekend. I get both sides of it. Denny saying like, look, I'm racing for a championship. You're not. I have the clearly faster car. And the only reason I can't pass you is because of this garbage aero package we have. Right. So like, I'm a better car than you. You're not racing for anything. I am. We're teammates. Get out of my way. I think Denny even said at some point, like even Ross got out of his way, right? So like
Yeah.
Ross Chastain is recognizing that, like, hey, I need to not, do this, and my own teammates not. I get where he's coming from. Counterpoint is, it's still a race, man. Like it's still a race, and Ty has that position. Like, why is he, required to give it up? I think on balance, Denny, makes a good point. Like, we're teammates. You should probably cut me a break. But yeah, that one's definitely got a lot of opinions, seeing a lot of people, up and down the kind of NASCAR universe on, pods and whatnot, weighing in on that. And like I said, I think most of them are coming on Denny's side, but I will give that little bit of love to Ty and say, like, hey, he had the position. Why is he required to give that up? So
I think the other thing too that he's mentioned in terms of Zach, our guy with Team 54, they're racing for 11th at the time, so that's not like it was a stage point, to be had or anything like that. That's me being objective because I did watch Jenny Hamlin's podcast and it was very insightful this week. I normally, I tune in now and then and it's him talking about himself or their race recap. In terms of the tires, in terms of the technical advantages that Penske has over the field, right? At a track like New Hampshire, in which that package is going to be at Phoenix, I really do appreciate what he was able to provide, because to me, it helped me out just as someone that enjoys the sport, but in terms of learning the championship, right? We're getting more and more into these playoffs. Penske looked like the team to beat by a long shot at New Hampshire, and that's how they always have looked at Phoenix. And to me, I feel like that's gonna be consistent if we continue to see them, because of how he mentioned it. They're not super far ahead in terms of adjustments that need to be made, but the fact that they are ahead now with 5 weeks or so to go is where the problem lies. This was a very pivotal race, New Hampshire in the playoffs. I'm not sure, unless people have watched Denny's podcast or are smarter than me, I don't know if they really made that clear, during the broadcast, or at least if it was that apparent, the fact that how those cars raced at New Hampshire and how far off, let's say, JGR was, right? They sweep the first round. Everyone's like, oh, championship goes to them. No, it doesn't, because Penske still has a lock on these shorter flat tracks, and that's where the championship is at once again.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, just with on what Denny said about that, it's like it's 2%, which doesn't sound like a ton, right? And it's not a ton, but as Denny said, you're not going to make that up in 5 weeks. Like, yeah, it's small. Like that 2% it doesn't sound huge, and it's not huge, but it is huge enough to make them that much better than everybody else that they're not going to make it up in the next 5 weeks. And so, as Denny said, like, if you're not a Team Penske fan, you basically better hope they don't make the final. Like, you better hope that they don't advance out of the final round. And I think that's probably an issue for them, because Brian Blaney's probably your favorite at Martinsville again. A Penske driver is going to be your favorite at Talladega. Joey Logano keeps winning at Las Vegas in the playoffs. So, like, if you're Penske, you got to feel good. And if you're not Penske, you can't be feeling great. So that said, that's enough about that. Let's talk about this specific week. So, Phil, I'm going to kick it over to you. Let's talk about Kansas, my friend.
Let's do it. We'll talk about these guys, trying to position themselves after 2 races. But Kansas is a 1.5 mile tri-oval track. This is what we call, the intermediates, the cookie cutters, whatever you want to call it. And it's the second time they've been there this year, so that's good for us as gamblers trying to understand, how these guys are going to be able to perform. Track stats. So they've been here 39 times. The winner won from the pole 8 times. Kyle Larson did it in the spring. Starting inside the top 5, the winner started there 46% of the time. And starting inside the top 10 has been crucial here. 66% of the time. 10 of the last 11 starts, the winner has started inside the top 10. Starting outside the top 20, it's only happened 3 times. Hamlin in 2019 was the last time. And then manufacturer trends. Chevy has won 3 straight. Toyota won the first 4 of the next-gen car. So this is the Hollywood Casino 400. That means 267 laps, 80 laps in stage 1, 85 in stage 2, and 102 in stage 3. Goodyear notes they are going to be bringing a brand new right side tire that apparently they've been working on. I didn't see anybody that had tested these. So if there were anybody that would know the answer to that, let me know. But the left side tires they've used at Charlotte, Michigan, Indy, and the second Darlington race so far this year. So kind of just the preview of the race itself. And, we have a lot of data to pull from. 7 races in the next gen era at this racetrack. That is a lot. That's the most we've seen, I think, ever as these tracks start to repeat here this season. So it's a big deal. And we also have a decent amount of comp tracks, as the intermediates season was earlier in the year. But, we have more data to pull from than some of these other tracks as far as comps go. So that's the breakdown for Kansas this weekend.
All right. Yeah, I think the tire note, as Brian just said, I didn't see anybody who had tested on it either. I don't think they did. When I was looking through the tire notes, they kind of suggested that it's more a reformulation of what they've been doing than something completely different. So it's a reform of what they've got that's supposed to, I guess, maybe give the teams more flexibility to like change how they set it up to give the teams more variety was maybe what I was reading a little bit, which, I love to see that on one side, give us some more options to do passing and whatnot. Counterpoint to that, man, as a gambler, don't like the unknown.
Makes you nervous. Yeah.
It makes me nervous. So getting that out of the way, let's dig into it. And hit the wrong button there. That's not the layout that I need. There we go. That's the one that we're after here. So we'll get into it, and I'll go ahead and I'll jump us off as we talk who we're drafting here. So starting with 2311. So this is an interesting one for me. Toyota, specifically 2311, dominated the first couple of races here in the Gen 7 car. Won first 3 races. 3 different drivers did that. With Kurt Busch winning the first one, then Bubba, and then Reddick. They've kind of fallen off some. And Toyota as a whole had been really, really strong in those races and fallen off some. So, if I just go and I look at purely, kind of where our predictive stuff says it should be, my pick would, take me to Reddick, but I'm going to go with Bubba. And I'm going to say that after having a not great start to this round, Bubba bounces back strong. And I just got to say, like, Tyler Reddick is in prison for me forever. He's lost me so much money this year. I can't bet on the man. Showing value on him, but I will not bet on him. Ryan and I talked about it. Just absolutely not. Quote Hudson, I'm going to put him in jail till the jail rots around him. Then I'm going to build another jail and let that jail rot around him. That's where I am with Tyler Reddick right now. But he just seems off to me, so I can look at all the, analytics in the world that tell me that he's the right pick here. And I just got to go, I don't know. I just think something's off with that team right now. Bubba's just seems more overall in control right now. So I like Bubba. So I'm going to take him there. So with that, Phil, who are you going with on our friends over at 2311?
Yeah, I was kind of perusing the win the race stats, and I was kind of anticipating you going with Reddick. But yeah, I feel the same way. This is sometimes you just got to like put your own emphasis on things, and I'm going with Bubba. Surprisingly, they're both dog shit this year on the 1.5 mile comps that I'm looking at. And that's shocking to me. Bubba being a lot worse, actually. 28 point something average finish to 22. They're both bad. Bubba's been worse. But this is where I'm kind of justifying this pick here. And that is, what's up, SC? If you look at Kansas as a collective, Bubba's been much better than Reddick. Just overall, ups and downs, he's like this track more. Second, we've started talking about Bubba and his like free form attitude and coming to the track happy and performing well at every type of track after Memorial Day. And all of these 1.5 miles, this 1.5 mile intermediate season all happened before Memorial Day, early in the season. So I think that, maybe there's hope that they can kind of use that, good everywhere mentality that we've seen all summer and into the fall here and perform well at a track that they have performed well in the past. With Reddick, like you said, he's not trustworthy. I don't know what's going on with him. I kind of have a sneaking suspicion of maybe what's going on, but we'll talk about that another day. Silly season talk. Put Bubba on the board and we'll see what happens here.
I dig it for sure. Tino, you joining us?
Not this time. And I'm honestly happy to go with the lone Tyler Reddick for this weekend. Hear the thoughts about Bubba. Agree about that. Really, sidebar, super excited to hear any potential further Phil comments about silly season, because I never, if this involves Tyler Reddick at all, I had never thought about anything like that. And then you just said it, and an idea just popped into my mind. So I don't want to say it in case I don't want to steal your thunder, but crazy that could be the case in terms of everything, how 23XI has started, fast, winning races, Tyler Reddick in his career specifically. And if it has to do something with that, the lawsuit, the fallout from it, Denny Hamlin, that's where things could get crazy. But my point is, for Tyler Reddick, and to make a case for him here, you guys are right. And at least the one thing that I noticed is in the first 3 next-gen races, 23XI and Denny Hamlin were the teams to beat, right, at this track. This is where they owned. The Toyotas in general were always dominant. Now, the last 3 have been brutal for them. And I'm looking at those stats, looking at their finishes. They're not there. There's nothing that could make me feel like even suggesting them, either of them, to win this race this weekend from a betting standpoint would make sense, except for the fact that in 1.5 miles this season, Tyler Reddick does sit 3rd amongst Kyle Larson, William Byron in terms of speed ranking. So I'm looking at their stats from that standpoint, and that's where I kind of feel like I can draw a positive from. So that's where Tyler Reddick, he sits 3rd. Bubba Wallace himself sits below him there. Trying to find him on this list there in 21st. So if we're talking 1.5 miles, I would prefer Reddick from the overall speed standpoint rather than Bubba Wallace when we go to a track that they just both are struggling at. And one thing I wanted to mention too, Brian was in the chat and appreciate him. He's saying, sorry for spamming. Never feel sorry. Keep spamming the chat. But also, this is a Hail Mary week for them, right? So if there's, especially for the 23, specifically Roval on deck, I don't see many doing anything there. And I know I'm rambling right now, but it's super tough to see Bubba in this position when we were making championship cases for him a couple weeks ago, at least to make it to the Final Four. And the reason that is because of the reset. He's stocked up so many points, was in 4th in the playoff standings before this opening round of the second round, and he's now 12th, minus 27. Obviously, had a bad New Hampshire, but you would think, or with being in 4th, plus 40, plus 50, they weren't even talking about him getting eliminated last week because he was such, high in the clear. To me, to see that is tough because they had a better season besides that. So, yeah.
It just goes to show you how difficult, love this format or hate it, it's so difficult to win the championship in this format because the bubble was 3 points last week. And we had a guy go out, finished 26, 1 lap down, not a great race, but all of a sudden it's doomsday. And we had a guy finish 9th in Ross Chastain, and now he's 12 points below the bubble. Like, it's so difficult unless you've racked up a lot of points in the regular season to survive and advance in this format. And Bubba is feeling that this week with 1 slip up. It wasn't even like a catastrophic thing. It was just one lap down, and there he is. So, like you said, Hail Mary, as Brian called out already here in this round.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. It's just it's crazy how that does that. I'll push back on one thing just with Bubba. I agree. We're not going to see him compete for a win next week. But he's been so much better on the road courses in the past 2 years than he was ever before. If we look at just 23, the you know, 23 through 25, the past, 2.5 years, right? He's got an average road course finish of 18.15, which is not great, but it's also not terrible. But then if we pull out 2023, just the past 2 years, it jumps down to 15.25. So he's showing some ability here. I think, we're inclined to write Bubba off on the road courses. And no, he's not going to. I mean, first off, nobody's going to compete for a win against SVG. Like, let's just leave that there. But he is doing so much better on those that I do think we have to keep that in mind. And then, just with regards to the silly season, yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. I think the lawsuit's going to have so much to do with, silly season because if all of a sudden there's 6 free agents out there, 2 of them who are, very good drivers in Bubba Wallace and Tyler Reddick, oh man, who knows what we're going to see. So let's talk about the other team involved in the lawsuit, right? Let's talk about front row, and I'll take first pick on this again, and I'm gonna grab Zane here. And the reason on that is I kind of put them all in the same kind of patch a little bit there. And none of them are expecting a whole bunch about. Zane did finish, I think, 11th here last fall, or I'm sorry, maybe in the spring. He's finished close to the top 10, recently. Put a bet on him for top 10 out there at almost 10-1. So I'm riding the Zane vibes on that. I think I don't have a great case for any of these guys one way or the other. It's just where my gut's taking me. So Phil, where are you going with these guys?
I actually, for the first time in a while, have written down Todd Gilliland for my pick. Old Gilly kid, just, I don't know, the fact that he's got 3 top 20s, 2 top 15s in 2025 on the 4 comps: Vegas, Texas, Kansas, Charlotte. It's a lot better than what we've seen from his teammates, and his Kansas numbers, they're not great. He's got a lot of 20 plus, but 2 of the last 3 races he's finished in the top 15 at Kansas. So, including this year where he finished 12th. So I think there's something to it. And we're going to roll with it. We're mentioning home runs. I keep looking over to my left because the game's on right beside me. The Phillies have like 8 home runs in this game. Like, it's like actually unbelievable. And I saw somebody asking me what I'm drinking. I was out to eat tonight at a Mexican restaurant. I had 3 margaritas, and if needed, I've got the Buffalo Trace right next to me if things get out of hand. So with this draft, if I feel like the roster's getting away from me, I'll save it with that. So yeah, that's we're gonna go with Todd Gilliland.
Love it.
All right, Tino, wrap us up on front row.
Well, this is an awesome draft so far because I'm going to go with Noah Gragson. He's just a guy that I feel like at Kansas is his type of track. We could see a good qualifying position. And if not, he started 24th here earlier in the spring, finished 14th. Toddy G was in front of him in 12th, and Zane Smith was 16th. So in terms of these front row guys, a lot of them have actually good speed at this track for their standards. They can all 3 of them got from 12th, 14th, and a 16th place finish. So this could be a really good toss-up, as it normally is for these guys. But in terms of actually running well, that's what I'm excited to see. And I think Noah Gregson's a guy that needs to do that when he can. This is an opportunity for him to capitalize on that. And Sean McBride, a lot of comments. Keep them coming, boys and girls, in the chat. Sean McBride specifically saying, "Oh, Phil, let's have a night." He does not like my pick. And Go Fresh Troy's in the chat as well. He's saying, "That's right, Gregson is still in Cup, Big Ross," which is funny because you may forget with all of his poor finishes this season. And then Sam Hall mentioning That guy is 2,000 on FanDuel for Gregson. Yeah, I feel like that's a good thing, right? This could be a value play for us. But yeah, appreciate all the comments. One more I want to get to too while we're talking front row here. Got a little bit of time to spare. Easton asking us how we're feeling about the NASCAR 25 game. I've seen the trailer. I'm super excited to play it. And then Miami Mike also mentioning or asking if we can get a win the race NASCAR 25 league going. Let's do it.
That'd be
So
fun.
once the game comes out, I'll ready to rip that with everyone in the chat.
That would be really
Well,
fun.
here's the real question. I don't know. I've been paying, some attention to it. I'm actually super excited for a couple of things that I don't even know if I'm technically allowed to talk about yet. So I'm super excited for some stuff in it. But do we have cross-platform on it? I don't know about that because that's a question.
I thought it was cross-platform, but I don't know if it's console only and then PC only. So like cross-platform meaning like Xbox, PlayStation.
Right.
I don't know if PC, Xbox, and PlayStation are together, but I'm kind of talking out of like loose memory. But yeah, I can look that up as we're going here. I'm excited for it too. I'm excited for it, but I'm so bad at those games. Like when I used to play online, everyone would just be like we didn't even make it to turn one yet. My car's like dropping back. So I'm excited for it, but I know I'm gonna suck, which is fine.
Well, hey, if it makes you feel any better, it's T54 confirmed, no one crossplay, which is tough, but it limits now at least you're not playing against PlayStation or Xbox, you're and PC. So whatever your console you're on, you're getting half of those guys that are pulling away from you.
Oh yeah, that's
to stay a little closer.
Damn. Yeah, I just saw that same thing. That's horrible.
Yeah, it should be. I feel like all games these days are, and then we can get a lot of people in the chat.
Yeah,
I'm an Xbox guy myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. That almost makes me feel like I've got to go buy a next gen console now because like my plan was I'll PC it, but the only console we have in our house is the Switch because that's what my kid wanted. I've got a PlayStation 4 and an old Xbox, but those aren't gonna do it. So, well, Tino, I'll let you keep carrying us on with Hendrick as we get into, I think, perhaps one of the more interesting and perhaps hotlier debated ones here. Who are you grabbing from HMS?
Well, I'm very excited for this pick right now because a wise man last weekend, one that's a champion now, really hyped me up for this driver. And that driver is Chase Elliott. And that man was Phil himself with his pump up speech. Brother, it worked. That 9 team was looking strong at New Hampshire. In my opinion, like that was a great run for them for many different reasons. Now, obviously, different track than Kansas, but stay with me. At the end of the race, when they knew they needed to do something to beat Penske, they went for it. To see a strategy call like that, I believe it was no tires, right? He stayed out and he was fading a little bit, but the fact that they tried it was awesome because I feel like a lot of times with Chase Elliott and their crew chief this past season and seasons prior, they really haven't been able to hit on strategy, or really they haven't even taken any chances to that manner as well. So to see that urgency from that team in which he needed it, right? Playoff standings, he's down there below. But to go to a track like this, in which he's won there before, but the green flag speed in the spring was pivotal for me. He was one of 2 drivers to only pass Kyle Larson during a green flag run, in which obviously didn't matter. Larson still had a perfect day, yada, yada. But if he was able to maintain that after the pit stops, right, Chase Elliott would have been first. He would have been leading the race, and he would have been able to potentially have a chance to win it. Now, all of these things, plus he's got a mustache now.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. Phil, do you believe in mustache power? Are you persuaded by our young champion's mustache to pick him too, or
I gave Chase the speech last week. It got him to 5th. I wanted it to get them to victory lane. So I would say the speech didn't work. So I'm focusing my speech this week on Hendrick elsewhere. First of all, we keep seeing in the chat, is this a make or break race for Hendrick? It absolutely is a make or break race for Hendrick because they have been so good here. Chevy is my manufacturer pick, even though they're the shortest odds this week. Chevy is where I'm going on my pod to structure my betting card around because Chevy's just been good here, top to bottom, the whole conglomerate. There's a guy in that camp that will find its way to victory lane. Now, I am going to take the easy way out, and I'm going to go with Kyle Larson. So I'll give maybe a pep talk to the Larson group here. And I saw, Go Fast Troy said Byron over Larson. I get it. I could see Byron as well. Maybe he finds his way to the board. But Kyle Larson, a perfect driver rating is 150.0. His driver rating in the spring was 149.7, led 221 laps. If there's a get right spot, this is the get right spot for Kyle Larson, without a doubt. In the last 7 races at Kansas, he's first in average finish, 6.3. He's first in driver rating, 111.4. This season on mile and a half. So let me just check this out here. He is second in driver rating, right behind Byron by 1 point on average there. 12.8 average finish. That's a little skewed. You say to yourself, Phil, what's up with that? 12.8. He's 7th in average finish. He's trash. Let's just go down memory lane here. 9th at Vegas, 4th at Texas. Obviously, dog walked everyone at this racetrack, Kansas. Started 2nd at the Coke 600, finished 37th. We're going to throw that the fuck out because that was the double. And, say 37th place finish. Who gives a shit? This is the track for Hendrick. One of these motherfuckers better step up. And I think that it's going to be the guy who is king here in the next gen era on all the metrics, and it's Kyle Larson. So maybe I'm giving Tino a speech to steal him later in this draft, but I'm happy that I'm different at this very moment in time.
Well, I'm going to keep it different because I am going to take William Byron. And it boils down to this. I think Larson probably is more likely to win the race than Byron is. But I think Byron is more likely to have a top 3 finish than Larson is. Byron seems to this year, particularly since the middle of the season, as that team seems to be prone to do the past couple of years, he's there, but he doesn't ever seem to necessarily have quite the speed to get him over the top. But he's just consistently in the top 3 to top 5. He's just there. And so I think his just consistency is the, kind of thing that I'm looking for there. I think, do I think Larson is more likely to win the race? Yeah, absolutely. I do. If I'm picking one of them that has to win, I'll throw my dart at Kyle Larson. But if I'm picking one who I think is going to consistently finish better in this race, it's going to be Byron. Larson just continues to be, and even if we go down and we look at their DNF rates, actually, Larson has a higher DNF rate. He is, the epitome of, kind of a wreckers or checkers guy. And so I'm gonna take old Benjamin Bill, just because I think he's got that consistency that's gonna get us home, get us those points that we need, be there throughout. Maybe Larson dog walks us all again. But I think Byron's my guy there. So with that, we will roll ourselves on over to the other, perhaps, particularly big dog. We talk about guys on the intermediates this year. Certainly we can't ignore what our friends over at Joe Gibbs have done. And I'll start with that. The guy particularly that we're going to talk about is Denny Hamlin, right? Denny Hamlin had a clutch issue, I think, in this race, in the spring. And he might have had something for Larson, but for that issue, right? I mean, that 11 team was really fast. But they had some issues. They just, they couldn't. I don't remember exactly what it was, but Denny was like having trouble shifting, just couldn't quite get it, where he needed to be. But that car had a lot of speed in it, and I think they are rolling it back. I think, he has talked about early on in the season, get on board or get run over. Well, he ran over somebody last week, and he's going to run over the field this week. So the rest of the field, look out, he's coming for you. So I'll leave it at that. I'll try and pump it up like that. Tino, can you give us some more on him, or you go in another direction?
Nah, for this time, you fired me up enough. I'm going with Denny Hamlin as well. And I got it. Hey, chat. Well, especially Brian said in the chat here, it's up on the screen. Hamlin was the fastest car by over a tenth before the clutch died, right? So for him to have an issue and still be fast, obviously before that, and then have the issue and then go away. But to me, I think in a get back spot at a track like this, I can't really go anywhere else. Bell's intriguing. Briscoe's been fast all year, but I feel like this is the chance. And this is what I was also going to bring up. The Team 54 aspect of it. Ty Gibbs himself has really strong runs here at Kansas. He was a driver that I was honestly considering maybe, for a big three or a wild card. But unfortunately, with everything, like I feel like the commotion around this team and Ty Gibbs hurts him, because if that is true in terms of having to give up spots for other team members to go ahead, which it is fair, we've seen this before in the NASCAR playoffs, this isn't anything new. And if that goes to happen, any of these three Joe Gibbs Racing drivers will then finish ahead of Ty Gibbs. So unfortunate, hate it for our guy, Team 54. Want to call out Ty Gibbs for having a potential strong run all day, and I'm sure he can finish top 10, but Denny Hamlin's my guy. I have to go with him. And shout out to Go Fast Troy, our boy, as well, saying Hamlin was 8-1 on BetMGM on Monday. Grab that. That's a great grab, because now I'm seeing him at plus 600 in terms of the best available value.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I think we showed more value on Byron at 8-1. We've got him out as the favorite over at Win the Race. But yeah, that's great value. I would have been interested in that as well. So Phil, let's wrap up Joe Gibbs. Come join us, friend.
I'm going in a different direction. And I'm not sure if I'm going to go with Denny at some point in this draft. I have him written down later, and I'm with question marks. I'm going Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell, and this is the deciding factor for me. Yes, Denny Hamlin is very good here, and he beats Bell by like a spot every single time we come. He's like, 6-1 against Bell here, but it's by like an inch every time. Bell is consistently good as well. He's second in the spring race here, 9.6 average finish in the last 7 races, and that's with a DNF, just like Denny. So they're right next to each other there. But here's the thing that is giving me like weirdness for Denny Hamlin. He is one of the worst drivers this season on the 1.5 mile packages. And maybe he's fast, like you mentioned, a clutch issue at Kansas, but 4 bad races. His average finish, guys, is almost at the bottom of this list. His average starting position is 14.3. Double that. 28.8 is his average finish. He's got one top 20 on one of these comp tracks this season. That's scary to me. And, I understand all the situational stuff that's happening right now, right? Because he's feeling revved up with what happened last week. And yes, it feels like this could be a Denny show. But what are they going to pull from this season? The effort that they put together at Kansas. Yeah, he was fast, but like they weren't fast off the truck, started 14th, and then they had an issue. The only time he started inside the top 10 this season on a comp track was 8th at Texas, finished 38th. So like, I don't know. Charlotte was his best time out, started 20th, finished 16th. I'm scared of Denny. And I guess in this situation, I'm a 1.5 games back to Tino. I'm going to take a risk here, at least at this moment. Like I said, I could snag him later, but I'm going to go with Christopher Bell because of his just overall consistency. Because this season, Christopher Bell is very good at Kansas, very good in 2025. That's the combination that I'm looking for from a gambling standpoint. And he's 9-1, by the way. Got him 9-1 on DraftKings. And that's the kind of stuff that I'm looking for on my draft roster as well. So we'll see if it comes back to bite me, but that's the reasoning for it.
Oh, I like it. So with that, we will slide ourselves over to the winners last week, who just dog walked the field. But we're probably I'm gonna guess most of us are a little bit down on Penske as a team. I mean, but Sean, I mean, let's get to the Penske pick. I mean, I think we're probably gonna be pretty consistent here. Just wait till no one picks Logano. I will not pick Logano. This one is super easy for me. It's Ryan Blaney. I just there's not really an argument that I can make for anybody else on this. Ryan Blaney has been, without a doubt, when you look at every single metric that we look at for this team, has been the best at the 1.5s this year. Just seems to have it together more than anybody else on the team. And, could Logano pop up and have a really great race? Yeah, absolutely he could. But if he's going to pop up and have a great race on a 1.5, I think it's going to be in 2 weeks at Las Vegas, because that's just what he seems to do at Las Vegas, is go win that race. So I think, I'm going to pass on him this week, take Ryan Blaney, and just call that a pretty easy day. So with that, Phil, are you joining me? You got to be joining me, right?
Well, I would, love to play devil's advocate here. I think there's value on Logano actually from an outright perspective, 22-1. I think there's something there, but for the draft, I got to go Blaney. I can't mess around. I do think that there's something to Blaney maybe messing around a little bit because he's locked in. They got a mile and a half in 2 weeks, like trying to, play around and see if they can get themselves prepped up for Vegas in some capacity. Maybe, that opens the door for Logano to steal this one, but I don't want to be, super different here as I was a second ago. I'm just going to lock in with Blaney and ride with you.
Fair enough. Tino, are you crazy in the minds of our friend Zach over at Team 54?
Well, I definitely am crazy. That's a no-brainer. But in terms of being as crazy as Sean McBrien's going to need me to save him, I just can't do it this time around. Joey Logano had a great New Hampshire. Joey Logano led laps. Joey Logano looked like the Joey Logano of old. Logs. I'm saying it, so hopefully McBrien doesn't catch on that Blaney is on my board right now. But I just can't do it, as Sam Hall mentioned. And I want to bring up the reason why. Just to put it simply, Go Fast Troy asks, who do you trust the most with unknown tire? That's Ryan Blaney. With any tires, it's Ryan Blaney. When any time there's a modification to any parts of the tire, or even if they raced with no tires and I had to choose a driver to go out there and win it, it's going to be Ryan Blaney. Anytime we've seen him, just be fast on a long run, manage his stuff, have the ability to come out of nowhere, or not come out of nowhere, but just be there at the end and be able to pass drivers. That's the biggest thing. And Brian said it earlier in the chat, brought it back up here. Blaney has been ahead of almost everyone everywhere this season. If it's not raw speed, it is the ability to pass cars. I understand the aero package and things like that. And I think if I'm going to have a take here, I think it gets used and talked about a little too much, honestly, because we have a guy in the 12 that's always passing cars. And when he's leading laps, we talk about how hard it is to pass lap traffic. He's doing that as well. So at Kansas, he's been super fast. In the past, earlier this season, he was up there too. And, Brian mentioning it too, how fast Blaney was at Homestead last year and this year. He's here now. He mentioned in terms of the long run speed that he has. And another thing I want to mention is from Easton. I thought I saw it before. Here it is now. What drivers do we believe are the favorites to make the championship for, or the favorite to win the championship? Saved it for this point because Ryan Blaney's my first answer. If I had to pick, let's go I'll say my first 4, and then you guys can go as well. Blaney, Byron. I'll throw Logano in there right now as well. There you go. I made Sean happy. And I'd go Kyle Larson too. I feel like it's tough. Oh, no, excuse me. Kyle Larson out, Christopher Bell in. So those 4, I mean, it could change, but Blaney is locked in for me in terms of making the championship 4. What do you guys think?
I'm going with exactly what Zach just said in the chat. Blaney, Bell, Briscoe, Byron. Those are my picks.
Ooh, Briscoe. I like that one.
Yeah, I mean, Blaney's my obvious one. I mean, I think he's without a doubt, kind of sitting in the cat seat right now. But yeah, Zach, I agree. He's the outright favorite for the championship, in my opinion. I don't think there's a whole lot of question about that. I think he has to be easily just. I mean, he's into the next round, which was probably going to be, a given anyway. But again, when we look at what the next round lines up for him, I think the next round lines up insanely well for Ryan Blaney. He's been great at Martinsville as of late. I mean, he's always been great at Martinsville, but he's been particularly great at Martinsville the past couple of years. So he could easily win that race. He could easily win at Las Vegas. He could easily win at Talladega. I mean, if he's not the, if he's not the top 3 of odds for all 3 races next round, I'll be shocked. I mean, that's just where he's going to line up, right? So it puts him into the final, and then he's a Team Penske car at Phoenix. How do you argue around that? So Blaney's the obvious favorite there. Chase Briscoe. I'll do this as I do this. The big 3. I'm going to take Chase Briscoe here because that man has a lucky rabbit's foot, just like jammed inside of his body right now. Like he cannot screw up. It seems like no matter what happens, somehow he ends up on the right side of everything. And so he's turned a corner, right? He turned a corner at Charlotte and has continued to do well. So I'll say that's going to be my pick for the big 3 here. So yeah, it's going to be. But then for the championship, yeah, it's Blaney. It's going to be Briscoe. I think it's going to be Hamlin for me too. I just feel like he's got this thing going, that he's got the little bit of momentum. He's got a real FU to NASCAR attitude right now. He wants it a lot. And I think that probably played into why he put Ty into the wall, right? I think it's just this overall thing of like, I've got to do this right now. And it's a level of aggression that I don't know that I mean, Denny's always been aggressive, but like it's a new level of aggression for Denny and like just wanting to do it. So I think we're going to see Denny there. And then my 4th guy, I mean, you pick a half dozen of the guys there. But I'm going to say Byron. He keeps showing up there. He keeps doing it. It's the consistency thing. So I think Byron consistently gets himself in there.
Love it.
Well, let me play off of that because Byron will be my pick for the big 3. I just, kind of steal your thunder. I know you stole him earlier, Greg, but like I said before, I think Chevy comes to play this week and Hendrick is leading that camp. 4th at Vegas, 2nd at Charlotte, starting in top 10 every single time we've been on a comp this season. He's got the best driver rating in 2025 on these mile and a halves, 10.8 average finish. That's 4th compared to everyone. So you made the case for Byron earlier, making him to be in the championship 4. I'll just throw him in there now as a big 3 pick.
Me as well. I'm gonna keep it simple. Me as well. The one thing I'll reiterate, as Phil just mentioned as well too, is just the consistency of Byron. And Greg, when you brought him up, when you picked Hendrick, that was the thing I mentioned. I had to get my Chase mustache off first, but the Byron consistency at mile and a half and this track specifically, there's a lot. And I believe it was Brian who mentioned how different Kansas is sometimes from spring to fall. Which obviously we're in the fall race now. He still finished 2nd in this race last year. So that gives me a lot more comfortability picking him here.
All right. Well, that made that actually pretty quick and easy. I think we'd already made all the cases for it. So, Tino, let's keep it rolling with RFK. Where are we at?
I love RFK this weekend in terms of potential top 10 value because they showed a lot of speed here in the spring. And mile and a half is something that they excel at. I thought of 2 guys to pick initially, which I feel like people would say makes sense. And especially one of them in terms of his photo finish to Kyle Larson. But a quick pivot to that, I'm going Ryan Preece for Kansas. I feel like if you know motor, that's the play. And I want to kind of prove that I do. He's been really strong inside the top 10 for speed rankings and everything like that when it comes to mile and halves this year.
Make it two. Make it two. Ryan Preece.
Wow. Okay.
Preece is my play. I think he's head and shoulders better than his buddies here. And I'll throw a little bet out there to you. Ryan Preece minus 125 over Kyle Busch. I know Win the Race doesn't have that as fair, but to me, the naked eye, Kyle Busch stinks right now. Stinks on mile and a half this year. Stinks right now. Ryan Preece, he's got something in 2025, 1 top 5, 3 top 10s, 5th in average finish compared to everyone. His finishes are 3rd, 29th. We throw that out, 7th and 9th, 4th in speed rating, 9th in driver rating. I mean, it's truly like, wow, numbers from Ryan Preece. And then you look at KFB, 22.3 average finish with 1 top 15. Give me a break. 3-1 head-to-head Preece in that matchup. So if you like money, Ryan Preece, not just on our draft board here, but look that on Caesars. I think Ryan Preece is definitely one to keep your eyes on this week.
Yeah, I don't know. You're saying our Sims don't show it as value, but off the top of my head, I would say yes. I mean, I think it was just said, in the comments. I think it is absolutely true. Brian, anyone over Bush is a smash right now. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that team. It's that they are they're a disaster. let's just leave it at that. They're a disaster. And they are, losing people left and right. I kind of tweeted out yesterday, he's losing his crew chief. I said, probably could not have come at a worse time. Of course, the announcement couldn't have come at a worse time. But yeah, that's a bet against Bush as much as it's a bet on Priest. But I don't hate it being a bet on Priest. Y'all are kind of selling me on Ryan Priest, but I'm gonna stick with where I was at. And my initial what in the world did I just do there? It's made that really
Maybe
small.
that's a sign.
Okay. It doesn't want to type it now.
Well, I will also say Big Ross mentioned Kyle Busch does this. I assume he's talking about Kyle Busch doing this every time he's not in the playoffs. Let me throw my hands up because last year at Kansas in this race, he almost won. So that goes to show how crazy of a bad year it has been for Kyle Busch this year.
Oh yeah. So my initial guy was gonna be Busher. I'm gonna stick with it. I think he's I don't know. I think he's got what takes here. I think he's got maybe more upside. I think Priest certainly has some consistency, which I talked about earlier as a reason to take a guy. But it's just kind of my gut where I was initially, and I'm, gonna avoid being swayed if for no other reason than to be different and give myself an option to get Ryan a win here over y'all with that. So turning ourselves to Spire, I feel like this one's probably one where we could see some similarities, but also perhaps an opportunity to be a little bit different. I'm going to take it first, and I'm just going to put Carson Hocevar on the board for myself here. He's been fast this year. He continues to show that he's got speed. He is aggressive, often to his detriment, but often to his ability to get up there. He is, checkers the records himself. See a lot of people talking about comparisons of who they see him as a young. I see him as kind of Ross Chastain from 2022 2023 when he was just kind of bullying himself around with a fast car. He's gonna have to learn some to get himself into victory lane and not get himself put into a wall. But I think he's got a whole lot of upside there, and I think his speed is there for me to take him. So I'm gonna roll with Carson Hocevar. Phil, where are you going?
I'm going back to Eminem, Michael McDowell in this one. I wanted to take Hocevar. Actually, if I showed you my notepad, you would see I cross Hocevar off. Because I think Hocevar is like the default answer, right? Like for all the reasons you just said, like he's the guy who should be like leading that team. I'm skeptical of Hocevar. His Kansas numbers, while limited in 4 starts, 20th is his best finish there, and it hasn't gotten any better since his first start. And then in 2025, he is down there towards the bottom with the Denny Hamlins, with the Ty Gibbses of the world, with the Bubba Wallaces of the world. 28.5 average finish, not a single finish inside the top 20 on these comps. It's actually like shocking. He had a pole at Texas, but did nothing with it. 30th, 24th, 26th, 34th. Like that shit scares me. And Michael McDowell, he's exactly what you would think. Mid-pack, had a 7th place finish in the Coke 600, 16th at Vegas. He started inside the top 15 in all 4 starts on the mile and a half. So I just think like McDowell, just that veteran presence on these cookie cutter tracks, I think could get me some good points here on the roster. So I'm going to go with McDowell.
I like it. Tino.
Yeah, well, it's going to be Carson Hocevar for me here as well. The main thing I'm looking at is obviously we all know he's the fastest car out of the Spire bunch, probably per week, at least not on the road courses, which we'll see coming up here soon next week. Maybe some McDowell love for a lot of people, but when I'm looking at these mile and a halves and the speed rankings, he's 7th, had a strong run at Charlotte, if you remember, almost won that race. And honestly, if I'm looking for a surprise guy, look no further. Kofez Troy mentioned it. Sprinkling on some Hocevar, 50-1. Yeah, I mean, I love that. Like, I really feel like if there's gonna be a surprise winner this season or in this race, Carson Hocevar could be that guy. So yeah, excited to see how he does in this one, at least for top 10 plus money at this point, plus 150. Maybe you'd want to wait until after qualifying to get that, but I would do like his top 10 number, or at least prop for this weekend too.
Yeah. I just to say like 50-1 for Hocevar. I know I just made the case for McDowell, but like, yeah, I'm with that. He's actually had some good speed this year. Looking at the speed, he's 7th in speed rating, even though he's not getting finishes. Hasn't had the finishes, but he's had the ability. So like when I talked about Chevy earlier, Hocevar comes to mind. I don't want to get burned by someone coming in from the back. And there have been times this year where, I don't call it out on the pod, just like kind of personally, just as like for fun, I throw a little lottery ticket on Hocevar from time to time. So yeah, I don't hate that move at all, even though I made the case against him.
Yeah, I mean, just on that same note, like Hocevar is the guy who if I'm throwing kind of like fun bets out there that I'm not tracking, that I'm not counting as my like main thing. Yeah, he's the guy who, keeps popping up as the one. I mean, I think we've got him pretty much dead center in terms of our ranking of him. Now it comes out a little bit different on the Sims itself, but if I'm looking at his straight up rank in between us, that's where he's at. But he's got the upside again. Like we know that upside is there, so for sure I don't hate that. All right, well let's start looping ourselves around. Best of the rest. Phil, let's start us off.
I will start us off with a driver that I took as an underdog to take down Tyler Reddick on DraftKings. And that driver is Ross Chastain. Chastain, I think, I think there's maybe 2 options that you go with here. And I'm anxious to see where you guys go with this topic. But Chastain, he's just another one of those guys with a really good combination of very good, decent enough at Kansas and very good this season. He's got 4 top 10s in the last 7 starts. He won last fall, starting from, like 20th or something. In 2025, he's first in average finish, 5th, 2nd, 18th, and 1st, won the Coke 600. He, at Charlotte won that race. Charlotte is one of the tracks with the left side tire experience that we've been to this year. So he just has so much positive data and that good blend of track that we're at, comps that we've been to. To me, it's just 2 thumbs up. Ross Chastain, I like him in a number of different ways this week, and definitely on my draft board.
No, I like it. Again, we talk about hearing what y'all saying, tempting me. I like what you're saying. I'm gonna stick with where I was starting myself, and that is my boy AJ Allman.
Wow, good. Okay, let's talk about it. I like it.
Greg knows motor.
So I bet him. So first off, I almost felt bad. I mean, let's be clear, I didn't feel bad taking the bet. But the number was way wrong. 365 opened him up at 10-1 for a top 10, which just doesn't make a lick of sense. When you look at where everybody else opened him, they were all opening him at like 4.5 or 4-1 for a top 10. So like, I don't know, somebody over at 365 got a little bit drunk when they posted that number out there. He's been really, really good at intermediates this year. He has had a resurgence on intermediates that I don't think most of us, I mean, certainly I had not seen, it coming. Like if you'd ask me like, oh, who's going to be like, the wild card shocker on intermediates in, 2025, AJ Allmendinger and Colleague Racing would not have been the guys that I picked for that. But let's look at this real quick. Las Vegas, 8th. Homestead, 7th. Darlington, 18. Okay, not great. Charlotte, 4th. So he just keeps showing up at these tracks. And then Darlington, too, 5th. I mean, what in the world? Who saw AJ Allmendinger doing that going into this season? Certainly not me. But the dude keeps showing up with speeds at these intermediate tracks. I'm going to ride with my bet, and I'm going to take him as my best of the rest. Tino?
Well, first off, tip of the cap. I love that. That is a strong play. Dinger has been someone that surprised me from time to time, and I'm very impressed with that call out, but I shouldn't be impressed because, that's what you do. For me, I want to call out a driver that I was going to pick, but I'm pivoting for reasons that will be revealed later on, or shortly, rather. Ross Chastain was my initial play. 4 top 7s in the last 7, a win here last year, playoff implications. He's the only driver in the best of the rest that's still in the playoffs, -12 from the cut line. Like, it seems like it's setting up for him to have, I really can't get behind him winning this race. And Brian mentioned that as well. He's having a hard time playing him at 20. Agree with that. If Phil mentioned it perfectly too, with him constructing the Chevy card, Chastain's a great option to have from that standpoint. But with Phil having Ross Chastain in his best of rest and me wanting to be a little different, I'm going to go with Josh Berry here. Josh Berry is another strong option. He's been really fast at these types of tracks all year. Kansas earlier in the year, I believe he finished inside the top 5. I'll have confirmation in 2 seconds. But in terms of finished 6th in this race in the spring for Josh Berry. And I feel really bad because last weekend for New Hampshire draft, I picked Ross Chastain and I said, oh, Josh Berry always messes me up and he doesn't normally come through, and he came through. So tip of the cap to Berry. I'll have him on my board this time.
All right. We talked about Barry a little bit earlier this week over in the Win the Race Discord, where we were taking Carson Hocevar over him. And that's just kind of the different ways that they've been trending. But you're not wrong. He's definitely had a little bit of speed at these intermediates. Obviously won Las Vegas, back in the early year. So certainly hard to argue that he won't necessarily be competitive here. So with that, we are getting ourselves towards the end here, wrapping it up. Wild card, Tino, start bringing us home.
Well, I will do just that. Well, wild card's always my favorite round. Before I announce my pick here, we did have a prediction from one of the best draft analysts in the chat. I saw it before from our man Team 54. Let's see if I can. It was an early one. Here it is. Nope. Yes, here it is. Okay, so he said Chastain should be best of the rest. Okay, Phil may have to cover with Logano. Ryan may has choose. Yeah. No, this was from last week. My bad. I started, so I go back to it. I knew that one didn't make too much sense. There it is. Apologies for that. I can't always get them right. Here it is. For the wild card, Greg probably in a box right now. Can't leave Seabelt on the board, even though Larson is a sweet option. Meanwhile, Phil taking Byron means he leaves Hamlin out there. That could be a choice. So he likely takes Hamlin and Tino grabs Briscoe, if I had to guess. Well, great analysis, as always, by our man Zach. And I will say, you're wrong about one of your predictions there, because one driver that I have to play, keep in mind, 5 race win streak for me now. It's got to be Kyle Larson at Kansas. Come on.
I knew my pep talk would get you over there.
Yeah, you sold me. Yeah. Oh, that was it. My bad. I know.
That sums it up. And it's what you've done now is you have 3 of the 4 Hendrick drivers on the card, and you are putting me in a freaking box, right? Because we got Ryan in the chat now saying go Larson, Greg, and that is where I was going to go, because Ryan and I, starting off this week, before we ran the sims, before we did anything, we were just talking. We're putting our scores together, and Ryan and I we compose our scores independently, then we put them together and we get our sim stuff, right? So we each kind of do our own thing, then we drop them in our sheet, and we're looking at them, we're seeing like where we're different, where we're the same. And Ryan said something to the effect of, I think it's going to be a Hendrick week. It's going to be a Chevy week. I'm like, yeah, I'm with you there. I agree. I want to, think that Toyota's got it, that they're going to be back and it's going to be great, right? I love that. And so I was going to take Kyle Larson here. But now, Tino, you've got 3 of the 4, including that. But I'm still going to do it, though. I can't not. I can't leave the I can't leave the guy there that I just had so much faith in. We talked about early in the week. Team 54, you're 100% right. I would love to, and I feel like there is a reason to go Chris Bell here, but I've got to stick with where I was at the start of the day, and I'm going to take Kyle Larson. Kills me that I'm doubling up with Tino here, but I can't leave it out there. So that's a long-winded way to take Kyle Larson there. So with that said, Phil,
wait, you didn't have one of these ready to go?
Yeah, that's really what took it home. Is the picture? Can you get a mustache on him? Because if you had a mustache, that really that sells it, and we're sold. So, all right, sorry, Phil, we're talking over you more.
I'm upset because up until wild card, I was the only guy with Larson, and I was like feeling really damn good about it. But now I guess I'm kind of shifting. Christopher Bell's my big dog that I'm riding with, as far as different. I mean, this draft, we've got a lot of different guys. So this is a tough one, but let me sell you guys on somebody here. Okay. Blind resume. Could I interest anybody in a driver who is the only driver in NASCAR with 100% hit rate at Kansas, finishing inside the top 10? Does that pep you up a little bit? Does that get anybody's attention? Top 10, 100% of the time?
Because I bet on him earlier this week.
100% of the hit rate, top 10. All right, 2-0 head-to-head versus one Denny Hamlin in the last two races. 2-0 head-to-head in the last two against one Chase Elliott. We love the Hendrick guys this week. We're going to talk about someone who hasn't been mentioned, was just mentioned in the chat by Keith, Alex Bowman. Let's go. Let's be a little bit different here. This time of the year, we need to separate ourselves. Alex Bowman being the only one on the board. He's going to get points for me. I know he's going to do it. He's going to do his thing, ride around Hendrick Love. He could steal a win here, be a non-playoff driver win. It would not shock me. We know that Hendrick's going to bring it, and he just consistently finds the top 10. He's very good here. Does it make me feel uncomfortable that I don't have Hamlin? Yes, but I made a point earlier. He's just been weird on mile and a half this year, so I got to, put my money where my mouth is. Phil is hammered. That's a shame. But Alex Bowman, hey, check the stats. We'll see. And if he burns me, we'll see. But got to take a swing down, game and a half here with dwindling races to go. We got to go for it.
No, I love it, Phil. I absolutely love it. I bet him top 10, and then I laddered him earlier this week, and I was talking exactly about what you just said. He has killed it at this track. He is 9, 4, 10, 7, 6, 5 at this track. You go look at Vegas, he's 1, 3, 35. 18, 5, 7. Like, he's just freaking destroying it at this track type. He's been really, really, really good. So no, I love that as a way to be a little bit different and wrap it up. So that's awesome. All right. Well, that wraps us up. That brings us to the end, my friends. It has been a blast. So before we go, Tino, tell us where we can catch up with you, and support all of your stuff.
Yes, sir. Well, Greg, always a great time having you on. Great to have the duo of Win the Race with Ryan in the chat as well. So awesome being a part of this draft. Great, fun one. Appreciate all the comments. Ryan, for anyone that may have missed it, commented, or maybe that was Greg, but either way, Win the Race commented.
That's Ryan.
He's
in there.
There we go. So Ryan was in the chat. So that was cool to have him amongst our fellow chat community there. And he said plus 135 for Hendrick. Love that. Another chat I got to bring up here before I tell you guys where to find me is Go Fast Troy mentioning Phil being fired up. And he's got to get that trademarked right now because that is an awesome way to do it. So, you guys can follow me at Tino, PATTIGNO, for all of the betting content, NASCAR content, Tino content out there. I will be on SiriusXM NASCAR Radio this weekend, the 2B Tino portion, give my best bets. We called out Ryan Blaney last weekend. Friday, plus 650 he was. Then he became the favorite at 2-1. So that's what I do there over on Sirius. You can tune in there. And also I'll be on this week for front stretches through the gears with my man Wyatt Watson. So tune in there as well. And everyone in the chat tonight, this was an awesome draft and awesome comments. We got Brian, who had a lot to share. I appreciate him. Zach Team 54, Go Fast Troy, Keith, Sean McBride, Sam Holm, Mike Manning in the chat. Appreciate you. Easton with some great comments as well. Miami Mike was in here. TK was in here. Oh, wait a second. TK's got a good one. He asked, will Ryan's pick be invalid due to there being no Carson Hosever in the race? Seems he...
That's funny. That's funny.
DK, we should have saved that after he won. Failed inspection. Love that.
And I'm only drinking Gatorade here, guys. Like there's no alcohol in this.
That's funny.
Oh man. But yeah, like comments like that make us laugh. Perfect. Any questions? If you guys have any more, keep them coming. But Big Ross, everyone else that was here in the chat, appreciate you guys each and every week. And looking forward to seeing if we can continue the win streak. And shout out to Robert as well from the chat tonight.
Absolutely. Phil, where are you at, my friend?
At Full Tank Phil on Instagram and X, and Full Tank Phil is the name of the podcast. Put the episode out tonight, so it should be out there, for drive tomorrow. If you're interested in that. But yeah, let me know who you're on this week. I love hearing other people's bets to see if I could throw them into mine. And I hope everyone has a good Kansas weekend. Huge weekend of sports. Kansas is going to be a nice little cherry on top on Sunday with Ryder Cup and great college football. So hope everyone has a great weekend.
All right. Well, thank you all so much. I'm Greg Mathern. I'm in for Ryan. You can catch us at Win the Race P1 over on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call that these days. If you want to go look for my random nonsense specifically, I am at gmathern84. And then, of course, all of our content is on wintherace.info, where we have all of our analytics and the stats that go into this. Gentlemen, as always, it has been a blast to do this with y'all. Thank you, everyone. Just echoing what Tino said, thank you for everybody in the chat. You guys make this a fantastic time, make us laugh, giggle, have all sorts of fun. We will see you all next week. Best of luck this weekend to you all.